Now, Roger Stone is there. I was talking to him earlier in text messages, getting an ambulance or going to the hospital. Just had a hit and run. He got hit with polonium. They said, oh, we're going to call him to Congress. They got hit with polonium, and they dropped the congressional hearing. They're still trying to say he's a Russian agent with no evidence. It's just an amazing time. So, Roger, thanks for popping in with us. Wow, you've been through a lot here. What just happened?
Well, about an hour ago, I was driving on my way to a speech in Orlando later this afternoon, and my car was T-boned by a car coming out of nowhere. The windshield so darkly tinted you could not see who was inside the car. It was stunning. The airbags went off. They came in at the passenger door where I was seated. And then the driver threw it in reverse, even though he had sustained some damage, and took off. There either were no plates or they were not identifiable, although, frankly, the whole matter was...
Well, I can see your face on the jaws bruised by the airbags. You were saying you're going to go to the hospital. Clearly, we talked about they need to kill you before they have the hearings because you're supposedly the master Russian agent. Now they're saying you were in touch with Guccifer on a public account, trying to get him to come on air. No one's hiding that. We wanted the WikiLeaks. So, Roger, what do you think this is?
Well, look, I think I've been poisoned. I've been smeared. I am responding and pointing out the problems with the headline, Trump associate was in touch with a Russian hacker. That's a false narrative. But I notice on Facebook and Google and Twitter, my retweets are down substantially when I defend myself with the facts. The fact that my contact, was after the hacking demonstrates that I could not have colluded.
But we were trying to get Guccifer 2.0 on and WikiLeaks. Everybody, the media does that too. They just think the public's dumb. They said in the New York Times that they were surveilling Trump with wiretaps on January 20th. We talked about, we did a whole show on it. We showed it, and then now they're saying that never happened. It's insane. He's crazy. There were no wiretaps of the president.
The problem here is much larger, Alex, and that's because the smoking gun who made these fraudulent allegations, if you read their entire story, which is a smear piece, and several other stories published the same day from other lefty fake news sites, all contain information that could only have been gleaned if I were under surveillance. Only if someone had access to...
Wait. They admit you were under the FISA court. That's been in the New York Times, too.
But if that's true, then leaking that information to the smoking gun is a felony, punishable by 10 years in jail.
Sure, so, but no one's being surveilled, even though our phone calls with Trump and all of it have admittedly been recorded. And, yes. and they admit, oh, FISA court did thing on you, but nobody's under surveillance. It's crazy, Roger.
Well, and they continue to deny that Trump was under surveillance. Let me say this, Alex. Trump has been under surveillance since the Bush presidency. He was under surveillance both in New York and Palm Beach. I have reason to believe at some point that surveillance ended, but was turned back on by the Obama administration. I know they're denying all of this, but Nixon denied Watergate for over a year and got away with it.
Napolitano says he has 4 sources, and this is coming out from Judicial Watch as well, that they were using the British, which they always do. They use the foreign intelligence to spy on people domestically, vice versa, to get around those laws.
Yeah, precisely. So this is all going to come out. And the worst part for them is their rationale for spying on Trump, i.e. he was in touch with the Russians through his agents, is proving to be false at the exact time that their surveillance of the president has been exposed. That's why the deep state is trying to take me out. They've poisoned me. They have smeared me. And now somebody in a car tried to kill me.
Well, Roger, I'm going to tell you, you better start watching your butt because, like you said, they announced all these hearings when you didn't die. They announce hearings, you get poisoned, you don't die. They didn't drink the whole drink or whatever. We don't know what happened. And now they want you gone so they can kill the straw man in a congressional committee.
Is it coincidental that only in the last 48 hours, John McCain called for Senate hearings and specifically said...
In fact, guys, I told you guys John McCain calls for Senate hearings on Roger Stone. That's been all over the news. I wanted to play that clip the other day. Yeah, he calls you out and this happens.
And he says specifically I should be questioned about my ties to the Russians and to Yukановich. Alex, why is he making these kind of baseless, reckless charges? I have no ties to the Russians or Yukановich. So I have to ask myself, does Senator McCain have left no sense of decency with these completely phony, made up witch hunt charges? And then
Let me see if Craig Sawyer, again, top retired Navy SEAL, combat expert, researcher, you name it. I mean, do you have any statements or anything for Roger before we let him go?
No, I wish some of this didn't sound so familiar, though. Sad.
Yeah.
It's sad to see. It
Yeah,
really
Roger,
is.
you better watch out. They do not want you in those hearings. They want to have those hearings. They want you dead, man. If I was you, I'd stop running around all these events you're at. I'd start driving an armored car.
You know what? I'm not giving up this country without a fight. And I'm not going to be silenced. I'm not going to be censored. And I'm not going to be intimidated. This is why I love InfoWars. You can come here and tell the truth.
No, I agree. But digitally, you can reach more people than running around to all these events. All I'm telling you is you need to demand the hearing. Before, I would tweet, I demand the hearings before they kill me. I've been poisoned. I've been hit by a car. Nobody's got polonium. I mean, I think we need to get you in front of Congress right now. They're scared of that. Roger, let's get to the hospital, get taken care of, and we'll talk to you soon. But
my people insist that I go in for it to be checked on. I feel fine, Alex. I was very lucky. I think the airbag saved me. The local police took an hour to show up and take their report. But that's South Florida.
well, maybe this was an accident, but the polonium's not. Yeah, go ahead, jump in.
It didn't seem like an accident to me.
I do have one thing. I believe President Trump can and should assert himself very forcefully upon our intelligence community and reestablish his commander's intent for the course of the United States of America and put a stop to this subversive action. And I think he can and should do that. So let's hope that happens soon.
Absolutely, because look, I mean, there's no doubt that every day newspapers, rap stars, rock stars, movie stars, everywhere say, kill Trump, kill Trump. Trump had to respond and say, why is Soup saying kill me? If this was Obama, he'd be arrested. Well, the president has the power to say, you know, do something about this. And I'm not looking for some war with these people. We're beating them intellectually. But at a certain point, we just can't let them sit there and call for our murder constantly. Roger, get checked out. Go ahead.
My final point is very clear. The president can do two things immediately, and I hope he will. First of all, release all government documents having to do with the surveillance of those who are allegedly in touch with Russians or any surveillance pertaining to Donald Trump. Release it all, number one. Number two, the Attorney General should impanel a grand jury. If not he, then a special prosecutor. That's fine with me. And sure, I would be happy to testify, and you can examine the so-called Russian collusion. But you must also call John Brennan, James Clapper, Ash Carter, Loretta Lynch, and perhaps even...
You all leaked it. Let me ask you this. Why does the MSM, because the internal WikiLeaks came out, they talked about you and I, and they said, we've stopped the MVP in the same email attacking you. And I'm kind of a little bit jealous that they called you the MVP and not me, but it's talking about us in the show. Why are you the MVP? I mean, because this is the Democrat Party run. David Brock were like, we've gotten the MVP banned off the news.
Perhaps they realize that I'm the ultimate Trump loyalist. I love Donald Trump. I have deep affection for him and his family. And I've always thought he had the leadership qualities and the skill.
You're the one that introduced him to Nixon. You're the one that launched it. You don't want to take credit. Just take credit.
No, I'm not going to take credit, but I like to hope that I have been a great assistance, and perhaps that's why I am targeted. Also, Alex, look at my work. I exposed the CIA in my book on the Kennedy assassination. I exposed them again in their real role in Watergate. I exposed them involved with the Clintons running drugs through Arkansas. I exposed them in my book on Benghazi. I exposed them in this book in terms of the whole Russia thing.
That's the criminal elements of the CIA.
Yes, I am a consistent critic of the deep state. That's why I think I am targeted.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Glad you survived this. Thank you. We're going to do 5 minutes next hour so we have more time. Now, Roger Stone got hit by a car. T-Bone today. He's been hit with polonium. Now they want to have congressional hearings. Every time they call for it, he gets hit with polonium or T-boned. They don't want to have the hearings. In fact, we could probably pull it up. McCain calls. It's on CNN. Forgot to tell the crew, or else I did. But John McCain calls for Roger Stone to be called before a committee, or John McCain wants Roger Stone called before Congress, before the Senate. That was the headline 3 days ago. And then now we keep saying they want him dead before. There it is. McCain. Stone should testify to the Senate. Let's find the video if you can. Thanks. It's on CNN. So they definitely don't want him alive They want him to be dead to have the testimony. And I got to tell you, talking to my a Navy SEAL buddy here, Craig Sawyer, he thought it was pretty suspicious as well, Roger. I know you got a guest coming up here, and I'm glad you're able to make it on air.
Thanks, Alex. I got a little bit of a headache and a little bit of problem with blurred vision.
So concussion.
Well, I had blurred vision in my right eye, but this is the eye in which I had surgery for a detached retina, which I sustained in a foolish boxing match about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So after the show, I now have to go to see an eye specialist.
That's a very nice houndstooth jacket, though.
Thank you. You know, I neglected to grab a necktie on the way, so you get me the way I am.
Well, you got a guest coming up in 5 minutes, but everybody wants to hear Roger Stone.
Well,
look, we're not drama queens. I'm not either. You've never in 40 years in politics made claims. You were hit with polonium. Now they've T-boned you. They ran off in this big dark sedan. This stuff's going on. Clearly, they don't want you to be alive when they have the hearings.
Well, not only that, but Alex, all of these manufactured stories about my innocent, from both a time point of view and a content point of view, contact with a hacker who may be a Russian agent, all of which takes place after the hacking of the DNC
but
documents.
we were trying to talk to Guccifer 2.0 and DC Leaks and WikiLeaks. The whole media does that too.
But it has caused now a question where the ranking Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee wants me to come for hearings. Senator McCain wants me to explain my ties to Russia and Yukановich. I have no tie to either one. So he's acting more like Senator Joe McCarthy than Senator John McCain with these wild, baseless, and I would say reckless accusations. I'm anxious to testify. I want to testify. Somebody very clearly does not want me to testify.
Sure, they want to demonize the straw man and the ghost when the ghost can't speak there.
Well, and not only that, but all of these stories, the smoking gun, raw story, others, all contain information, small tidbits of information that could only have gleaned by having me under surveillance.
Well, let me ask you this.
No
Who do you
way.
think's killed more than 50 top Russians the last year, running them over with cars, killing them, shooting them, stabbing them? They're dying of heart attacks. Clearly, there's deep state trying to kill the Russians. I wonder who's behind that. Certain guys attack Russia all day. A couple guys in the Senate. I mean, clearly, I think the same people killing the Russians want you dead. Not the Russians did anything either. It's just a complete message. Roll over or we're going to kill you.
And the irony of this is, if you want to know what happened in terms of the Russians and the Trump campaign, it's all in my book. An answer to all their nonsense. Podesta's time in the barrel. Stone was foreshadowing WikiLeaks. No, he
but
wasn't.
I don't just listen to you. I trust you. But you were there January 20th. You said it's totally fake. I've said nothing on telephones with anybody. They're in the New York Times saying they have you and Manafort on the phone, you know, with the Russians getting orders. Later, they admitted that's fake. We didn't have wiretaps. In fact, the New York Times didn't exist, they said. I mean, it's next level lies.
They have nothing. They go for the headline. The headline is Trump associate had exchange with Russian hacker. They never tell you that the exchange is innocent, that it happens at a time that is innocuous.
In a public website forum when you're trying to reach out after it's in the news saying, yeah, I'm glad you didn't get banned off Twitter. You know, obviously give us the leaks. The president said, I don't care who has the WikiLeaks. The Democrats are the ones doing the crimes. Hillary has the 60,000 missing emails. Release the damn things.
Well, I agree. We have a lot more in the show later on to talk about.
I'll say this. If the Russians have evidence of the Democrats being pedophiles, I want Russia to release it. I'm not a Russian agent. I mean, I don't care if the Easter Bunny has the info.
Well, and that's what really starts this whole thing. When Donald Trump says that if Russia, if you're listening, release Hillary's emails from her illegal server, this becomes a talking point for the Clinton campaign. Trump is in bed with the Russians. Trump's in bed with Putin. Trump's campaign is infiltrated.
When he's being sarcastic, they're like, are you a Russian agent? He goes, no, but I mean, they're the ones with the stolen emails. I don't care who's got them, release them.
Yeah, no, the irony, of course, is, and nobody's done a better job of this than Dr. Jerry Corsi there at InfoWars, is it's actually Hillary and the Podesta brothers and her husband who are in bed with the
I had Craig Sawyer, who was a top Navy SEAL over a major Navy SEAL group. Let's leave it at that. And I had Colonel Schaefer on today, super high level, as you know, in intelligence groups, saying there's no Russian connections to Trump or you or anybody. It's all the Democrats. But in history, they're the ones known in the old Soviet area that had the Russians' hand up their rear end.
Meanwhile, Alex, as I write and post and refute these mainstream media lies, I see Google and Facebook and Twitter fooling with my logarithms. So my defense is not reaching as broad a cross-section of people that I
Well, don't worry. It's reaching. You know what? Tell about the car. It rams into you. It's got dark windows. It backs out. It speeds off, T-bones you. But thank God for airbags. I can see your jaws bruised. You got a concussion, but...
Well, I was driving to Orlando. I was in the passenger seat. A young man who works with me was driving. We were headed down through a residential area, trying to get to a main artery that would take us to the turnpike. And this car appeared out of nowhere from our right, T-boned the car. I was in the passenger seat, hit us at the passenger seat. The airbags went off in the front and the side. So I could no longer, had no vision. The driver's airbag did not inflate. The entire right side of the car was smashed in. But he told me the driver threw it in reverse, backed up, had sustained some small damage, and took off. And the rear plate was obscured. So, you know, if I had not written a number of books that exposed the malfeasance of the CIA, if I did not know in my heart that the fact that I can prove there were no Russian contacts, and that is problematic because the deep state definitely had President Trump under surveillance, candidate Trump under surveillance, but their rationale for doing so has just collapsed. There is no Russian influence that would justify such spying.
Let's say this: if you got hit by a big truck and then the truck had been stolen, then we know for sure, because that's a classic way to kill somebody, is T-boning them with a cement truck.
Alex, if that happens, I'm counting on you to open the Roger J. Stone Memorial Foundation and let the good folks at InfoWars support your work even further.
Well, believe me, this is getting out of control. I mean, they do not want you to testify. They keep saying they're going to do it. They don't do it because, as you said, it's all fake. Now they admit there's nothing in the intercepts. So they just go, oh, there's no intercepts. First, we have the intercepts. We're tapping them. We're watching all of them. Faisal and Stone. We're watching Trump Tower. We have General Flynn on the tape. And then it's like, but nothing said, so we didn't do it. Like, we have no memory. Roger, take over. I know you have another guest, my friend, but go ahead.